Sonic Brother Trouble. Everyone that is a Sonic fan knows that Brother Trouble might be the most anticipated Sonic 1 ROM hack they would ever expect. But well, obviously, you know the drill. Sonic 1 Brother Trouble was a great ROM hack. But however, for those Sonic fans that watched this video, did you know that this was actually cancelled? Yes, as confirmed on Sonic Retro, Marky Jester, the creator of Sonic 1 Brother Trouble, sometimes he ended up going on temporary hiatus on this project. And eventually, he made it clear and canceled the hack. The Sonic fans that played this hack already know. So, there are 4 different versions, including a 5th exclusive version I was emailed to after I was talking about that cpz.bin file that was now unable to be downloaded. And that was able to be downloaded through the Sonic Retro forums. So anyways, we'll be comparing the differences between 0.5, 1.0 demo, the exclusive cpc.bin, also known as Revision 21 version that I got emailed after asking for the invalid build that you can no longer download from the retro forums. The combi ring version, in which, yes, the tile screen in this version is just Green Hill's background scrolling. Yeah, that's actually how the combi ring version's tile screen is. And finally, the 1.5 beta, also known as the final version. So, the Sega screen of 0.5 is just the bland Sonic 1 Sega logo, which the cpc.bin build shares. A new altered Sega screen in the 1.0 demo, and another revamped Sega screen for the final version. Also in the first 2 versions, Marky Jester is instead credited as Dr. X's Insanity to prevent people from knowing that it's Marky himself. So, in the options menu, it's completely different from the one you see in the cpc.bin build onwards. This type of options screen appeared first starting in 0.5 and appeared again unchanged almost in the 1.0 demo. At this time, in this version and the 1.0 demo, the color test basically doesn't exist. You also got the sound test. It isn't full right now, but it has the sliders and such. And you have the basic options. You can select Sonic and Manic, and there's no level select, in which it can be accessible in the 1.0 build. But also, there is a problem if you play this game. Also, there is a problem for the sound test if you play this game, this version and 1.0, on real hardware or on an emulator that supports 68K address errors. On real hardware, attempting to press any of the face buttons on the sound test screen causes the game to crash. You can indeed mash C 200 times, I guess, if you just want to hear the song that you want to hear on the emulator that supports the address errors. But for emulators that don't support address errors, you can listen to these songs with no issues. So that means There's also a problem with Mac when playing this game on the same types of devices. Well, on real hardware or an emulator that supports address errors. This is what happens when you play as Mac on any of those things I was talking about. Address error before you can even begin a level. And another address error. And therefore you can't play the game because of the constant address errors. And guess what? It turns out this is literally only gonna happen when Mac is touching the ground. This does not happen with Sonic. But for the players that are on an emulator that doesn't support these address errors, or allow them but can be disabled, then you're basically able to play as Mac with no issues. So what levels does 0.5 contain? Well, let's enable the level select with the usual Sonic 1 cheat code. You've got Green Hill Zone Act 1, in which the level name was unchanged in this build. You still have the original level art for the foreground, but the background is completely different from the one seen in later builds. And even the original Green Hill background. Also, the HUD in the first 3 builds that I have, well, they actually, for the Score Time and Rain HUD, they literally lack the shininess on the numbers and even the text for those respective parts of the HUD themselves. Also, in this build, there's literally no way to play as Sonic and Mac simultaneously. So basically, at this time in development, the game was still having a lot to get finished. But hey, did you know that Spin Dash exists in this build? Yep, it lacks the dust, but it works. There's also the peel out. You even got you obviously got the, well, homing attack. And then it's time to go to Act 2 of the first zone. Oh yeah, and there's also these 3 boxes over here. These 3 boxes only appeared in these first 2 builds. And therefore, they were meant to know which item you were using. This one would be used for a shield, this one will be used for speed shoots, and this one's for invincibility. Now is Act 2 finished in this build? Well, by the looks of this, and this, no, this level is indeed unfinished at this time. A corrupted sprite ball hog attempts to prevent you from going through the rest of the level. But well, if you're smart enough, like me, kinda, you can try and progress through the level. You're not gonna make it to the end unless you use debug mode. But well, it works. Meanwhile, blame my speaker for always cutting out. But in Act 3, well, it's basically just the original Act 3. But with the oh wait, actually no, the right one is pretty much for just shields. The one on the left is for invincibility. Basically, Act 3 is just the original Green Hill Act 3. But with the improvements that Brother Trouble gives. And then, at this time, well, we finally got one. At this time, Cathedral Palace Act 1 was actually already completed in this build. And yep, you heard that right. Cathedral Palace Act 1 was finished in this build. It lags a lot though, You just have to note that. But unless you do this cheat, like me, because I'm a maniac, remove the sprite limit, overclock the CPU, and you get silky smooth gameplay. And I don't even know it's a single graphical glitch in this ROM hack due to the sprite limit removal and overclocked CPU. But basically, Act 1 in this build was, well, different compared to the CPC.bin one. You got this wavy background effect in Act 1 in this build, obviously. This section tells you to go down and such. And well, Act 1 was actually finished in this build, but had different level design compared to the ZPZ.bin, as well as the combi version, sort of, and the final version. Also, Act 2 and 3 are corrupted marble zone. Also, Act 2 and 3 are just, well, corrupted marble zone graphics because they weren't even fully developed yet. There's your proof. Not only that, Haunted Circus exists exclusively in this build. And this level is pretty cool, for the right reasons. Basically, there are exclusively Act 1, because Act 2 and 3 are still unfinished. There are these ghosts that try to steal your rings. And that you're inside one of these circuits thingamajigs. So basically, you have to try and get out of them as fast as you can before you lose all your rings. The experience is even harder when, well, you obviously get hit. Which means that if you get hit in the game, obviously, you're basically gonna die immediately. Because you're still losing your rings by the time you literally are getting haunted by ghosts. So therefore, I think this is my second favorite zone that is stuck in this build. Really. I'm gonna say that this is my favorite. So, exclusively in this build, I think I consider this level my second favorite, due to the ghost mechanic. It's a bit unfortunate it never got ported over to any of the later versions, but had it done so, I would have considered this my favorite zone in the entire game. Literally, by far. Because this zone is as enjoyable as you think. Well, not really for some players that don't like their rings getting stolen. But for those that love version 0.5 compared to the other versions, obviously this is an enjoyable one. There's also Atlantic Cellar. Again, only Act 1 finished. Act 2 and 3 are still labyrinth leftovers. This is another zone exclusive to this build. Starring with CPZ.bin, the zone eventually got replaced with Secret Ocean, which remained almost unchanged in the other three versions. Well, the later three versions. Basically, the music pitches down and slows down whenever you're in the water. This level is also the one that crashes once you get to a certain point in the level. And it's when a bridge explodes, causing you to go through a tunnel. That issue does not happen on the emulators that lack the feature of dress errors. But on emulators that support dress errors, either with the way to disable them or not, or on real hardware, they won't work and they will crash. In part 2, I will showcase the rest of what I'm talking about.